Rejection is one of the most powerful forces a man will ever face. It can crush your confidence, make you question your worth, and even drive you to give up before you've started. Every man who has ever tried to build a meaningful life has faced rejection, whether from women, business, family, or society. But here's the truth. Most men never fully grasp. Rejection is not the end. It's an awakening. The way you respond to it defines you more than the rejection itself. That's where Stoicism comes in. The ancient Stoics were not men who lived soft lives. They were warriors, leaders, thinkers, men who faced loss, betrayal, humiliation, and yet came out sharper because of it. They didn't waste energy on what they couldn't control. Instead, they turned pain into strength, rejection into fuel. And that is exactly what modern men must do in the dating world. When a woman rejects you, it is not a signal to fold. It is an opportunity to level up. It's a test of how much you respect yourself, how strong your mindset is, and whether you are willing to adapt or crumble. The modern dating world is filled with men who take rejection as final judgment, while the few who rise above it use it as leverage. You must become one of the few. In this video, I'll give you 7 psychological tricks rooted in Stoicism that will help you flip rejection to your advantage. These are not empty motivational lines. They are battle-tested principles that will harden you, sharpen your game, and make you the kind of man who commands respect. Rejection will come, but how you walk away from it will either make you weaker or far more dangerous. The choice is yours. Control your response. 1. Control your response. The first thing you must master when facing rejection is your response. Most men let emotions run wild. They panic, lash out, or collapse inside themselves. This is weakness, and women sense it and immediately. A Stoic man controls his reaction like a general commanding an army. When she says no, you do not flinch, you do not argue, and you do not beg. You stand calm, collected, and unshaken. Why? Because your response is the only thing you own in that moment. You cannot control her decision, but you can control how you carry yourself. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." That one line should become your shield. The rejection itself is neutral. It is your interpretation that makes it either poison or fuel. Picture 2 men. One hears, "I'm not interested," and he storms off, slamming the door on his own dignity. The other smiles, nods, and walks away with composure. Who do you think holds more power? The calm man, because he shows that her choice does not dictate his value. He proves that he is bigger than the moment. The modern dating world rewards men who can show strength under pressure. If you lose control when things don't go your way, you give women a clear sign that you lack discipline and self-respect. But when you remain in command of your emotions, you create a lasting impression. Even if she rejected you, she will remember how you carried yourself. Controlling your response does not mean faking smiles or pretending you don't care. It means building yourself so strong inside that you truly don't break when faced with no. Every rejection then becomes training, a chance to sharpen your discipline and emotional armor. This is psychological warfare, and the man who stays composed always wins. Detach from outcome. 2. Detach from outcome. One of the greatest mistakes men make is tying their entire sense of worth to the outcome of a single interaction. If she says yes, they feel alive. If she says no, they feel crushed. That mindset makes you a prisoner of approval. A Stoic man, however, aches from outcomes. He focuses on the action, not the result. When you approach a woman, your goal should never be she must accept me. Your goal is to present yourself with clarity, strength, and honesty. Whether she embraces it or rejects it is outside your control. This is exactly what Marcus Aurelius taught when he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. Women can feel when a man is obsessed with the outcome. He acts needy, desperate, or anxious because he's already rehearsing rejection or begging for validation. Detachment flips the script. When you no longer care about the outcome, your energy shifts. You become more relaxed, authentic, and confident. Ironically, this is when women respond most positively because you are no longer trying to win them. You are simply being. Imagine two men walking into the same room. One is on edge, worried about whether women will like him. The other is calm, joking with himself, and fully present. Who do you think draws attention? It's the second man because his energy says, "I am enough regardless of what happens here." This doesn't mean you act cold or arrogant. It means you set your standard. Your happiness, your peace, your masculinity cannot be held hostage by whether someone accepts or rejects you. Detachment is freedom. The moment you stop chasing approval, you become magnetic. The moment you stop begging for outcomes, you become powerful. Rejection then loses its sting because you were never chained to the result in the first place. Use rejection as feedback. 3. Use rejection as feedback. Rejection can sting, but hidden inside, it is valuable information. Most men take rejection as a final judgment. I'm not good enough. But a Stoic-minded man sees it differently. He sees it as feedback. He doesn't see a closed door, he sees a mirror. That mirror reflects something he can base, learn from, something he can adjust, or something he can ignore if it's not valid. The key is discernment. Not every rejection means you're lacking, but some rejections do point out areas you can grow. For example, if a woman says you came across as too aggressive, too nervous, or too passive, that's insight. Instead of sulking, you take note. You refine how you present yourself next time. Rejection then becomes a training ground for improvement. This is the mindset of warriors, athletes, and great leaders. They all turn losses into lessons. Think of Thomas Edison, who failed hundreds of times before creating the light bulb. Each rejection from reality gave him feedback on what didn't work, and he adjusted until he succeeded. In the same way, every time a woman turns you down, you can ask yourself, what can I learn here? Was my energy off? Did I lack confidence? Or was it simply that she wasn't the right match? By analyzing, you grow sharper. The weak man avoids rejection altogether, so he never improves. The strong man seeks it because he knows every no sharpens him for the yes that truly matters. Rejection is not proof you're failing. It's proof you're moving, and movement is where progress lives. The Stoics taught that obstacles are the path, not the enemy. Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, rejection is not blocking your growth, it is guiding it. Stop running from it. Start using it. Build emotional armor. 4. Build emotional armor. A man without emotional armor will not survive in the modern dating world. Every no, every ignored message, every moment of silence will pierce him like a blade. He will bleed confidence until there's nothing left. But a man who builds emotional armor becomes untouchable. Rejection bounces off him because he has trained his mind to endure. Emotional armor is not pretending you don't care. It is building yourself so strong that rejection cannot break you. Stoicism gives us the foundation. The Stoics taught that pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. You cannot stop a woman from rejecting you, but you can stop yourself from turning that rejection into self-torture. The first step in building emotional armor is perspective. Ask yourself, will this rejection matter in a year? In 5 years, the answer is almost always no. You'll hardly remember it. That thought alone strips the sting out of the moment. The second step is exposure. Too many men hide from rejection, and because of that, even the smallest no feels like a crushing blow. A man who actively places himself in situations where he may be turned down grows calloused in the right way. Just like lifting weights tears muscle fibers, so they grow back stronger. Rejection tears at your ego, so it can rebuild tougher. The third step is self-respect. If your value comes only from women's approval, you will always be fragile. But if your value comes from discipline, goals, health, and purpose, rejection cannot shake you. Why? Because you know you are worth more than one woman's opinion. This is where most men fail. They give women the power to define them. A Stoic man never does. Think of the Roman general who loses a battle. Does he crumble number? He regroups, sharpens his strategy, and returns to the field. That is how you must see rejection. A skirmish, not the war. You are bigger than the moment. Emotional armor also requires self-talk. Too often men let their inner voice destroy them. After rejection, they repeat lies. I'm not good enough. I'll never succeed. That is poison. Instead, your self-talk must be disciplined. This was training. This was not fatal. I am stronger now. The shout. Words you feed. Yourself decide whether you stand tall or stay broken. Finally, emotional armor demands acceptance of reality. Rejection is not rare. It is the rule. You will face it again and again. The weak man spends his life avoiding pain, and because of that, he never becomes anything. The strong man accepts pain as the price of greatness. Remember what Seneca said, fire tests gold. Adversity tests the brave. Rejection is your fire. Do not run from it. Step into it. Let it forge you. The man who walks through rejection without breaking becomes unstoppable. And when women sense that strength, when they realize you cannot be shattered, you rise above every ordinary man who crumbles at the first no. That is the power of emotional armor. It makes you untouchable, unforgettable, and unshakable. Redirect energy. 5. Redirect energy. Rejection leaves many men stuck in emotional quicksand. They replay the moment in their heads, waste hours questioning themselves, or drown in self-pity. This is wasted energy, and wasted energy weakens you. A Stoic man does not allow rejection to drain him. He redirects that energy into building himself, sharpening his edge, and moving forward with purpose. Energy is the most valuable resource you have. Every thought, every action consumes it. When you pour that energy into regret, jealousy, or anger, you are burning it on what you cannot change. But when you redirect it into self-improvement, you transform rejection into fuel. The first way to redirect energy is through physical action. Go train, lift weights, run, box, push your body until it sweats out the sting of rejection. The body is a forge, and movement is the fire. By pushing your body, you not only release negative emotions, but also build discipline and confidence. Every rep is a reminder that you control yourself, not the rejection. The second way is creative or productive work. Channel that surge of emotion into building something. Write, create, hustle on your goals, grow your business. Great men throughout history have turned heartbreak into masterpieces, rejection into inventions, and loss into legacy. Why? Because they refused to waste their energy sulking. They redirected it into something greater. The third way is growth of mind. Instead of obsessing over her, rejection, study, learn new skills, read philosophy, dive into knowledge that makes you stronger. A man who continually feeds his mind will never be held down by a single no. Imagine the difference. One man gets rejected and spends nights drinking and scrolling through her social media. Another man gets rejected and uses that exact pain as fuel to launch himself further. Training harder, working smarter, sharpening his craft. Which man do you think women eventually notice? Which man commands respect? The second, always. Rejection is raw energy. If you let it sit, it poisons you. If you redirect it, it becomes power. The Stoics knew this well. Marcus Aurelius spent his life under pressure, wars, betrayals, personal losses. But he wrote in his journal, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." That means every rejection, every obstacle is not there to stop you. It is there to push you forward if you choose to redirect your response. The truth is, rejection hurts because it touches the ego. But pain is energy, and energy is neutral. It can destroy you, or it can elevate you. The choice belongs to you. A modern man who masters the art of redirection becomes unstoppable. He is never idle. Every disappointment fuels his rise. Every rejection adds more fire to his mission, and women, consciously or not, are drawn to men who move with momentum. They are pulled to men who never stall, never dwell, but instead redirect every setback into power. That is how our rejection becomes your engine instead of your cage. Strengthen inner frame. 6. Strengthen inner frame. Your inner frame is the foundation of your masculinity. It is the structure that decides how you see yourself, how you carry yourself, and how you allow the world to treat you. When your frame is weak, rejection shatters you. You collapse because you built your identity on outside validation. But when your frame is strong, rejection cannot move you. You know who you are, and no single no can redefine that. The modern dating world is filled with men whose frame is paper thin. They change themselves for approval, bend their values to please, and crumble when women walk away. This is why rejection destroys them. A Stoic man must do the opposite. He must become anchored. His self-worth does not float in the opinions of others. It is built on his principles, his standards, and his discipline. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." That is what a strong frame really means. Mastery of yourself. To strengthen your frame, you first need clarity. What do you stand for? What are your non-negotiables? A man without these is like a ship with no compass, tossed around by every wave of rejection. Once you define your standards, you must enforce them. Never allow rejection to convince you to compromise who you are. If a woman rejects you because you won't betray your values, that is not loss. It is confirmation that you are solid. The next step in strengthening frame is emotional sovereignty. Too many men hand over their emotions to women. If she approves, they are happy. If she rejects, they are broken. That is slavery. You must reclaim control. Your emotions belong to you. Rejection should never dictate your state of mind. Instead, you use it as fuel to reinforce your identity. Finally, strengthening frame means living with purpose beyond women. If your only mission in life is to be accepted by them, rejection will crush you every time. But if you are building something bigger, your health, your craft, your empire, then rejection becomes a small ripple in a much larger ocean. A strong frame communicates power without words. When you carry yourself with that unshakable center, women notice. They may reject you in one moment, but they will always respect you because they can. Feel you are not a man who bends. Stoicism teaches us that character is destiny. A man who strengthens his inner frame becomes untouchable. He does not chase acceptance because he already accepts himself. He does not crumble under rejection because his foundation is rock. And in a world full of fragile men who break at the slightest no, the man with a strong frame becomes rare, valuable, and magnetic. That is the kind of man you must become. Solid in your center, no matter who stays or who walks away. Turn silence into power. 7. Turn silence into power. One of the strongest tactics a man can use after rejection is silence. Most men do the opposite. They argue, plead, or try to convince her to change her mind. This strips them of dignity and shows weakness. A Stoic man understands the value of silence. When a woman rejects you, let your response be calm, acknowledgement followed by distance. No chasing, no begging, just space. Silence communicates strength because it shows you don't need to explain your worth. You don't need to campaign for her approval. You are a man who walks away with his head high. This silence plants a seed in her mind. While other men bombard her with desperate texts, you disappear into your mission. She begins to wonder, why didn't he react? Why didn't he try harder? That curiosity flips the dynamic. You no longer look like the rejected one. You look like the man who chooses where his energy goes. Stoicism reminds us that restraint is a form of power. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind. That includes the power to hold your tongue." By not reacting with emotional outbursts, you stay in control of yourself and the frame. This silence also gives you space to grow. Instead of drowning in bitterness, you focus on yourself. Training, learning, building. Each day of silence is a day of progress. The man she rejected yesterday is not the man she would meet again tomorrow. Silence transforms you because it forces discipline. Think of a warrior sharpening his blade in silence. No noise, no distraction, just work. That's how you must use your silence. Sharpen your body, sharpen your purpose, sharpen your mind. And here's the hidden truth. Silence is unforgettable. A woman will forget the man who begged. She will forget the man who argued. But she will remember the man who walked away without a word because that silence carried weight. It spoke louder than any words could. This doesn't mean you play games or act cold. It means you respect yourself too much to stay where you're not wanted. You don't waste words trying to convince anyone of your value. You live your life in such a way that your value is undeniable. Rejection then becomes your stage. Silence becomes your weapon and growth becomes your response. The man who learns to turn silence into power becomes rare because most men cannot bear to be ignored. But you will rise above them. You will use rejection as proof of your discipline. You will walk away with unshakable confidence, and that more than anything will set you apart in a world full of noise. Conclusion: rejection is not the enemy. It is the training ground of great men. Every no you face is a chance to sharpen your response, strengthen your frame, and grow unshakable. The Stoics endured loss, betrayal, and defeat, yet they rose stronger because they